Hi, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in again. So today, as you can see, we're doing things a little differently. We're shaking things up a bit. As you can see, we're in a brand new setup, which is literally just on the floor of my bedroom, next to my bed and my piano. But yeah, so I thought I'd shake things up a little bit and do something different. Today I want to do more of an opinion piece rather than a reaction. Just because, new year, new me. I want to try something a little bit different. So today we're going to be ranking our top 5 favorite comebacks from a specific group. Okay, so without much further ado, let's get into it. So today's group that we're going to be ranking comebacks for is TXT, or Tomorrow by Together. So we're doing them as our inaugural group in honor of their comeback, which is on January 27th. It's still before the comeback, so the new comeback will not be included in the ranking, even though this video will probably come out after the comeback, but it's not going to be included. Okay, so this is all comebacks up until today. Anything before today is fair game. So the new one is just not, it's not going to be included for obvious reasons. We haven't heard it yet. But I am looking forward to it, which is why we're making this video in honor of their comeback. So we're going to be ranking top 5 comebacks by TXT. When I say comebacks, I mean the full thing, the whole 9 yards. We're going to do teasers, music videos, performances, album, like all of the tracks, B-sides, everything, visuals, whatever, anything you can think of that is considered part of a comeback, that we will be taking into consideration in our ranking. Well, most things, not everything, obviously, because my mind is, but yeah, so those are our parameters. Just as a disclaimer, these are all my own opinions, okay? I love and respect this group. I hold them so dear to my heart. I don't actually consider myself a mall, but still, I respect these guys. They're great performers, they're great musicians, they're great artists. So everything I say with love. But just because I'm a fan doesn't mean that they're not above a little bit of constructive criticism. Okay? That being said, let's rank their comebacks. Alright, so number 5 on this list is 0 by 1 equals Love Song, or I Know I Love You. And when I tell you that I listened to the song on repeat for almost a month after it came out, I am not exaggerating. Like, I was singing this in the shower, singing it in the car, singing it on my way to work, just popping my earbuds in and listening to it non-fucking stop. I listened to the shit out of the song. And this song is just so catchy. It was something very new for TXT, but still, like, it felt like them. That made no sense at all. But you get what I mean. Yeah, like I said, this song is just so catchy, and the rest of the album is just spectacular. My favorite song on the album is probably Dear Sputnik, because it's just so epic and grand, and it feels like it's telling the story of like some epic space song. I don't know, it just gives me that vibe, even though it's not what the song's really about, but still. And in this comeback, they just like explored so many different styles of music. Like you've got Frost with being like really grungy and edgy, and then I Know I Love You being like super rock based, and then you've got a song like Ice Cream or Magic that are very like bright and cheery, and still like the album itself felt very cohesive despite having like various like different styles of music. And I think that's like a testament to how they organized it, and just like everything that they put into the music, it also feels cohesive, like centered around a central theme, obviously, which is what TXT tends to do. And this comeback also felt a lot more grown up and a little bit more rebellious, as per the music video, in which we see them stealing a car and setting it on fire and shit, and like the whole thing. It was still really cute, which is like a staple for TXT, but it felt more grown up. Like, obviously in their music videos and in their whole like TXT universe, they're following this journey of like growing up and becoming adults. And so this particular chapter in that story felt like they had crossed the threshold of childhood and into young adulthood. So the music video, it lacked some of the like magical and supernatural elements that are like kind of staples in the TXT universe, but that didn't feel like a big shift, because like I said, this is a chapter where they're crossing the threshold into young adulthood, and so that kind of like whimsical, magical kind of element seems like they're leaving it behind a little bit. It was still present, just not as much as in previous comebacks. And yeah, it didn't feel like it was missing anything. Like it felt like a continuation of their story, and I enjoyed that. And of course, they always lean really heavily into the angst, especially in this one. The teen angst is just like, it's so present in their styling, in the music video, in their performances, in the song itself. Like the lyrics are so angsty. And even as a full-grown adult, I'm here for it. Those are the things that I really enjoyed about this comeback. One thing I would say against this comeback is that the performances were not my favorite out of the 5 on this list. It just, for me personally, it felt like there was a bit of dissonance in the performance, like in the choreography itself with the song. Like, but that's just a personal thing. I always think like rock music isn't necessarily something you can choreograph like a hip-hop routine to. Not always. But yeah, so like I give their choreography team props, because choreographing a song that is a very like melody driven with lots of rock elements is difficult. So I still give them props for that. But yeah, in my mind it didn't match like what the song was saying. Didn't really match with some of the choreography. So yeah. But I will say the performances for Frost, that performance video that they put out was epic. Like, it was so good, so well choreographed. The video, the effects, all of the like filters that they put on them, it was so cool. And so I think personally, if Frost had been the title track of this comeback, then I would have enjoyed the performances a lot more. Just because that, for me, that song with that dance really like clicked. But obviously, like, I Know I Love You is a more marketable song, like in terms of being a title track. So I can see why they chose to go that route. But I don't know. I still think that Frost could have carried this comeback too. But yeah, either way, I'm not mad at what they did. They did a good job. Like, this is still one of my favorite comebacks, obviously. It's on my top 5 list, even though they've only had like, what, 7 or 8 comebacks in total? But still, 10 out of 10 would recommend. So, number 4 on this list, Blue Hour. I am of the opinion that this song, specifically, saved 2020. No questions asked, full stop. It saved 2020. It was just a much needed breath of fresh air during the pandemic. Like, obviously, this came out in October. So it was still like a very rocky period. Very unsure of what was going to happen in the future. And then this song dropped, and it was like a hit of dopamine that we all needed. It was so much fun, and the choreography for the song was just iconic. I swear everyone and their grandma was doing it on TikTok. It just like blew up, and it was a lot of fun for people to like, and I saw a lot of people like come together with this song. Like, everybody was like blasting, even like non-K-pop stans, I swear. We're enjoying it because it's just like a very fun, bright song. Plus, like, the rest of this album or the rest of this EP gave us some like really good B-sides. Like, We Lost the Summer, the perfect way to like encapsulate what we were all going through during that time. Like, it felt like this song was written by everyone. Like we could all relate to it, you know? I think my favorite song off of this album was Wishlist. It's such a nice, catchy, upbeat song which we all needed at the time. Like that, this was this comeback saving grace, the timing. For Wishlist specifically, like to me, it feels like the soundtrack of an indie coming of age film, or like a road trip song. It's just, it's so fun. It makes you want to like, it makes you like hope, at least like the instrumentals make you like hope for the days that you can go back outside and be with friends and just like experience youth, and all that good stuff that life has to offer. And because the choreography was so good, we got so many good performances. Like, you can even tell that the boys were having fun with this one, because it is such a like, I don't want to say catchy, because can dances be catchy? But it was a nice dance that a lot of people could participate in. Like, it was accessible. It was, like I said, it went pretty viral on TikTok. One thing I will say is that for me, the dance break in this song felt a little anticlimactic, choreography-wise. It just felt like we've gotten a lot more interesting and dynamic things from them in the past, so this one was more relaxed, I will say, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but like I said, it was a bit anticlimactic for me, but still, it suited the instrumentals of the dance break, so it was still good. It was still like a watch-worthy performance, I would say. The MV is super, super cute for this one. The styling in the music video was, oh my god. Yeonjun with the pink hair, the pink mullet, and the cowboy hat, or his pink little crop top. It carried. But like story-wise, it felt like within their like cinematic universe, this was like, it felt like it took a break from their like overarching story, which isn't a bad thing. Like even within like story like dynamics and plot mechanics, a little downtime for like your protagonist is always good, because then you get to know them as characters, and that's kind of what this music video felt like. It felt like downtime for our heroes, for our protagonists. So it was like a slight divergence from their like cinematic world that they're building, but it still made sense. So it wasn't a bad thing. Like you could still even connect it to their TXT universe plot. There's still like some things that kind of connect it, that keep it like centered within that kind of universe, the world of their story. But yeah, it felt like a little bit of downtime for the boys within the story, if that makes sense. You get it. But yeah, like I said, the saving grace of this comeback was the timing. It dropped at like a quintessential moment where we all were like getting really tired of like being told you can go out, but you can't go out, but you can go out with only like this amount of people, but you can't be inside with like this amount of people unless you're wearing masks. And like it was just a whole bunch of things. So this comeback was a nice distraction from all of that, and like the kind of gloom that was falling over everyday life and like confusion that came with living during the pandemic. And it brought some fun back into our lives, so how could we not love it? Number 3 on this list is Crown. I had to fight myself not to put this higher on the list, because honestly, I love this song and this album so much. But it's not their best comeback. Obviously not objectively, because these are all my own opinions, but objectively within my own reasoning, it's not their best comeback. Technically, it's not even a comeback. It's their debut. But still, it had to be on this list because I love this song so much, and this album is just great. As far as debuts go, this was so great, and it was really strong. It was well executed, it was well marketed, and it set the foundation for what we would see from TXT going forward. At first glance, it didn't seem like something new in the K-pop space, because obviously we'd seen like cute concepts before from boy groups, especially like younger boy groups, but this one had a lot of layers to it, and they're not necessarily visible on first watch. And after watching all of the music videos again for this video specifically, you can really see that the music video and this whole comeback really laid a lot of the groundwork for the trilogy that was to come. And you can really see that Big Hit knew the direction that they were going to take this group in, and that they had like a concrete plan. And I appreciated that they did the work, they put in the work, and it obviously paid off really well for them. So this comeback introduced their magical, supernatural elements a little bit. It introduced their fun and whimsical nature, which has since evolved within the trilogy and within the rest of their comebacks as well. And it also introduced the boys themselves as characters within their cinematic universe, but also as performers, musicians, and artists. And their debut stages had so much heart. They left everything out on those stages, and you could see that they really worked hard to debut. They put their all into it. They put their all into this album. They put their all into filming the music video, into the choreographies, into the performances. They were in it, and I really appreciated that effort from them. And you can see that they loved doing this, that they're in it for the right reasons, that they're in it because they love to perform. It felt very genuine, and it had a lot of heart, and you could feel that, like it exploded off of the screen that you were watching it on, and you could see it and you could feel it, and it's a magical thing to experience. This comeback also set up the central theme that they would be exploring throughout the trilogy and throughout the rest of their comebacks and their music, what they would be exploring thematically, musically, cinematically, like all of that was introduced here. This was the foundation for their career. As all debuts are, they're the foundation that you build the rest of your career off. And they must be fucking architects, because the way that they've grown, like you can see how much they've evolved as artists, as performers, as musicians, and even like within their cinematic universe. You can see that evolution of their characters, of their plot, of their story, of their world. And it all starts here. And where we are now would be impossible to get to without all of the hard work that they put into this debut. The way this was promoted, Big Hit went all out. Like, you can tell. It was their first boy group. Their first group to debut since BTS. So this was a big deal. They put a lot of effort into introducing the boys individually, then as a group. The teasers for this music video were so cool. Like, I still think about that teaser with the Morse code at the end. I don't know if it was the end or the beginning, but the Morse code where people translated and it came out to like dream or something. That was genius. I still think about that. People were so excited for this debut. Like, I was already in ARMY, but we were all so excited for this comeback, and we wanted them to succeed, and Big Hit wanted them to succeed, obviously, and so they put so much effort into the marketing. It was just, it kept everyone on their toes, it kept everyone excited, it got everyone hyped, and I feel like it lived up to what we were expecting, especially with Crown being such like an upbeat song as a title track. I think it really paid off. The one thing that I guess I didn't love, I mean, I don't hate it because I still really enjoy the music video. It's a lot of fun. But compared to like the other comebacks, this one, the music video was more editorial, I guess I could say. Like, that's the only way I can really describe it. And by editorial, I mean that like it's very highly stylized rather than centered in reality. Like, all of the sets that they used were very like ambiguous places and settings. Honestly, like, you could even consider it to be like inside the imagination of a child. It's very ambiguous and kind of like whimsical, which obviously makes sense for the story that they were trying to tell. But again, like, it felt like they were on photo shoot sets rather than real places. The music video wasn't so much centered in reality or a recreation of reality compared to their later music videos are. And like, obviously they've moved away from this kind of shooting style, because the next couple, actually all of their music videos following this, most are centered in a kind of real setting. So like, they're filmed on site, if that makes sense. But like, it made sense because they hadn't really begun exploring their universe yet. They were only introducing us to the boys, really. They didn't have a lot of story to tell yet. because we need to be introduced to the boys first. So it made sense. But yeah, I much prefer their more cinematic music videos, but that's just a me thing. All in all, like, this debut was really lighthearted and simple, but it left a lasting impression. It was just so fun. And I really love in the choreo the way that they use the levels. Like, they're not always like standing. Sometimes they're on the floor. They're doing their little things. They're using each other to create images. Like, they're working as a group, which was really fun to see. It was really cool. And it's something that they do from here on out. Like, they do that constantly in their choreographies. Like, they're very visual with their choreographies. And that's something that started here in this debut. So yeah, overall this comeback their debut was just spectacular. And also, this album gave us Cat and Dog, so is there really anything else I have to say? Number 2 on this list is 9 3/4 or Run Away With Me. This comeback was our introduction to the cinematic world of TXT, and it was spectacular. It was so well directed and shot. This music video was the perfect way to introduce us into their cinematic universe and their world and their story that they're trying to tell. Visually speaking, this was a sharp turn from their previous debut. Like I said in the last one, Cat and Dog was very editorial. This one, very cinematic. It was a stark contrast, like complete polar opposites, these two music videos. But this one, I love this one. It really brought you into the world, and you feel immersed in it, and you also become attached to the character. It did a really good job of getting the viewer to care for these boys. This comeback leans very heavily on cinematic storytelling, and as a person who studied film, it made my heart just and my brain would go ooh. So I enjoyed the crap out of that music video. Honestly, this one reminded me a lot of like the Run music video or I Need You. The purpose of those was to tell a story, the story of the BTS universe, and this is exactly what that did as well. This is the purpose of this music video, was to tell the story of these boys who are about to go on this adventure, and that adventure is growing up, but obviously it's set in a more magical world than our own, and there's supernatural elements involved, and so that's clearly why they had to transition to this kind of visual storytelling, because it's a lot harder to tell a story with just kind of ambiguous sets and little like added effects like they did in Crown. So it was a purposeful switch. In this one, we see characters emerge, plot lines, the magical elements are really cemented in this universe. They did a great job of getting you to believe this story and this universe. It just felt very real and grounded compared to the previous comeback. Musically, this album, so good. So good. I mean, TXT always puts out good music, so it's not unusual for them to put out a good album. I talked about how in the album that I Know I Love You came out in, that one felt very cohesive despite having all the different styles. This one felt very musically centered. They explore different styles, but they're more styles that are adjacent to each other rather than opposing. But like, they were still exploring their style, exploring their music, so it made sense. They're still growing as artists and as vocalists or rappers. So yeah, it obviously it made sense that they're not gonna do the most all of a sudden for their first comeback. But yeah, no, I think some of my favorite tracks are Angel and Devil, which is such a bop, and this album has my favorite TXT song of all time, Can't We Just Leave the Monster Alive. I love that song. I don't even understand why I love that song. I love that song. I feel like it speaks a lot to me personally, and it's just a really enjoyable and melodic song. Plus the choreography that came out for that one, it's just so fun and bouncy. So yeah, I love that song. And so like, how could I not love this comeback for giving me that song? Like, I listen to that song on repeat all the time. The choreos again for this comeback were super creative, as they had been in the previous comeback, and they kind of like built off of that. Like, they were still very fun and dynamic, and again, the boys still seemed to really enjoy themselves on stage, which is always a plus. And yeah, like I said, it built off of the whimsical nature of Crown, not just in the music video but in the performances as well, and really just everything that Crown had. Like I said, it was the foundation, so everything that Crown gave them, they built off of that for this comeback. And so it was like a bit of growth for them as artists, and I appreciated that. And you can feel that the magic is very alive in this comeback, which, I mean, duh, it's called the Dream Chapter Magic. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. This comeback was so much fun. It felt like an adventure, and that's obviously what they were trying to convey within their journey, because that's the journey that they're exploring. And so it felt like the start of an adventure. Yeah, and I think that like out of all of the title tracks, I think this one is probably my favorite tied with Crown. I would have put this one at number 1, but the next one, which you could probably guess what it is, they just took everything and pushed it to the max. Like, literally everything. Every single aspect of that comeback was just pushed to its limit. And honestly, it was so spectacular. So that's why this one is number 2. Not because it's less than, but because the other one is just so good. Number 1 on this list is, drumroll please, Can't You See Me? I'm sorry, I butchered that. Number 1 on this list is Can't You See Me? The Dream Chapter Eternity is what I consider to be their magnum opus thus far. Like I said earlier, it was just, they pushed everything to the max for this one. Everything. Like, musically, this album is super interesting. It has the TXT sound that we've grown accustomed to so far, but they also added a lot of angst and rock elements, which add a completely different layer to the story that they're telling. It set the stage for what we would see from them post the Dream Chapter trilogy. Every single song on this album is a hit. Artistically, it's beautiful. And like, I mean, every single track. Like, Drama is so fun and so cheeky. Eternally is just perfection. Don't even get me started. And Puma is just another banger. Like, that one was so epic. Like, this whole album is just of epic proportions. It's their magnum opus. I cannot stress that enough. Obviously, thus far, we're still very early into their career, but still, so far, it is their magnum opus. This was a huge turning point for TXT. This marked the end of their journey of childhood and the start of their journey into adulthood. And that's so very evident in the visuals of this comeback as well. And in this one, they really just started to experiment artistically, and I mean that in every single sense of the word. Like, when I think of like how they push themselves artistically, like, Eternally just immediately comes to mind. Like, the song, the music video, just it blew my mind. I could honestly like write a 20-page essay on why Eternally is perfection, and it just tells such a good story. Visually, it's so interesting. I'm running out of words on how to describe it. Like, it turned my brain to mush when I think about how good it is. And the music video, I'll call it a short film because it was a 19-minute masterpiece. It was just, I'm gonna stop speaking about Eternally because I will never stop if I start. The music videos for this era and the performances for this era were just spectacular. The choreography in Can't You See Me, where they're doing the little butt thing, That was so cute. Or when Subin like reaches out into the audience and goes, "Save me!" Like, I literally like this section of the video is just gonna be going because I cannot describe in words how amazing this comeback was for me. Like how I experienced it. It blew me away. It blew me away. That's it. That's literally all I can say. Like, end of the video right here. That's all I can say. Because if I say more, I'm gonna sound like an idiot. The choreo just ties for Can't You See Me? It just fits the song so perfectly. Like, they're very lyrical with their... I previously said that they were very visual, but they're also very lyrical in their choreographies. So, props to their performance director, because, like... See, I can't even say words. I also really enjoyed the Puma performances. Like, the little, like... Dun, 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 dun. You can't see me do the feet. Because I'm sitting down, but that part was super fun. And when Yeonjun got on top of the boys, like he just stood, that was a power move right there. He said, "No one can touch us. No one can touch me." He is the it boy of the 4th generation. And honestly, that moment was the start of everything. Yeah, I mean, I don't have much more to say. Like, visually, it's perfect. Thematically and musically, it's stellar. Beautifully executed, top to bottom, left to right, in and out, like in all directions and all dimensions. It was just chef's kiss. And that is why it is number 1 on this list. I can't say anything more. Well, there you have it, folks. That is my ranking of the top 5 TXT comebacks. Like I said, you know, they've never ever put out a bad song, so ranking them and their comebacks was difficult, but you know what, I ultimately am happy with this list. I think that it makes sense, for me at least. Obviously for you it might be different, so yeah, I'm happy with it. And making these kinds of videos is always a lot of fun. I love sharing my opinions with you, and if you have opinions of your own, I'd love to hear them. So let me know what you think of this ranking, if you would rank them the same or if you would rank them differently, if you would include others and exclude some of the ones on this list, or like even just let me know what your favorite TXT song is down below in the comments. I'd love to hear it. As always, don't forget to like and hit that subscribe button because it helps me out a lot. And I will see you in the next one. Bye! Can you see me? Can't you see me? Oh, that sunlight is so bright. The full thing. Like, MVs, teasers, music. Number 2. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know why I did that.